We are live. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Rose.
So what were we delving into yesterday that was like a hot topic? It lit up.
On our call or when we were texting?
When we were texting.
When we were texting, let me remember because
So much.
time is very different here. So yeah, we were talking about money, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking, at least from my perspective, and maybe let me know if this is where you were going, but the difference between kind of money from a physical, rule-based, physical reality standpoint, and money from a magical, energetic, metaphysical, rule-breaking place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
transcendent.
And yeah, the challenge of what is possible when everything is possible, and boundlessness is here right now.
Yes. And so this was funny because as you were sending this to me, so the leverage has been ramped up exponentially. I mean, I'm just in a flow all day, and it's so dynamic and it's so rapid, and it's fun because there's an agility and a resilience that come along with it, and that you just stay in the flow. And so how I view money is as energy. So numbers to me are just a representation of how high my energy is, and how well I'm maximizing my capacity to leverage that energy and direct it efficiently. And so I see it like holographic, multidimensional, molecular. So I see energy at the molecular level. So I also see money in that way. So when there's a lot of generative flow being allowed inside of the body, and then we're simultaneously in the present moment flowing that energy out or directing that energy with our consciousness, we can transcend all limitation because the potency of the frequency itself is so powerful. And so we were playing with ideas around, and I've done this before. So I don't know how accepted it was at the time when I was speaking about it, but it was a fun thing that I was playing with in my own space, where I'm like, okay, so once we transcend our own limited paradigms, and we enter into the space of open creation, pure creation, we get to start playing with the malleability of our belief structures and what it is that we want to happen inside of our reality. How can we bend that and mold that in the ways that we want? So I was playing with having my bank account fill up with money without me doing anything in specific except for directing the energy with my consciousness. And so one of the things that I was doing as I was generating the power in my body and then directing it with the power of my mind is just requesting that there be money. Money was showing up in my bank account every single day. So it was less of a request, more of a decision. Money is going to show up in my bank account every single day. I have no idea how it's going to happen, and it's just going to show up. And so one thing that was happening during that time, so I kept this up for a month, and I didn't choose to maintain it after that point because I was focalizing my energy differently at that time. But for that month, money showed up in my bank account every single day. And so sometimes I would have direct deposits, and I had no idea where they were coming from. I would have refunds. I would have clients sign on, all the different unlimited avenues and channels through which that energetic could flow. And it was because I was so precise in taking that energy from the quantum field and focalizing it into a point and directing it and giving it specific direction and intention for what I wanted to happen. So I think a very similar thing, we were playing with ideas around how we could continue to do that.
And just to let's give the audience a little background. We're partnering up on a organization, building a business organization together, and let's talk about that for a little bit. I want to talk about it for sure. I definitely want to add some more voice to it, but first I'm curious to hear what you're receiving so far from your excitement to sign on to help me build this from the ground up, and what you feel this is, the movement that we're building, foundation that we're building, all of the superstructures of everything that it's going to be expanded into, the complexities, and where we are at the point of the vision, and what the reflection from you about what you feel you're doing with me.
Yes. What are we doing? Well, one, we're actualizing paradise on earth. And while it's one thing, it is a reality, as a dimensional timeline that already exists. And what we're doing is essentially cleansing our filters and our perceptions and all of our lenses to reveal that reality. But it's also a reality that is simultaneously being lived into, embodied and expressed and made manifest and actualized in the physical world. And what I love about the Universal Imagination Alliance is that it is so hyper advanced. So it connects the constellations between holistic wellness in nature and science and oneness and advanced technologies, and how advanced technologies are going to help us when we fuse them with nature in their highest expression to create a more cohesive world for all of us to live and flourish in together. And so I love the lucidity with which it is dialed in to a point, the mission, the values, they're all just from the perspective of the quantum self, or the I am will. And the way that you have masterfully articulated it into structure is phenomenal, because as we advance and we evolve as beings, one of the things that I've noticed is that although it's this gorgeous, stunning, sentient, divine, heavenly, holy, loving, all-inclusive energy that has that sentience and emotional intelligence to it, it is also highly mechanical and sophisticated and rich and complex and exacting in its mechanics. And to fuse both of those together, which is what you have done, because you're a brilliant visionary and you have found a way to articulate this immaculately, is how to translate that energy, how to translate the blueprint of reality so that we can actually not only phase those codes into this dimensional experience, but embody the sophistication of that field, and then create systems in the physical world that are based upon its intelligence. And so the many ways in which that expresses itself through we're bringing these services into existing corporations, because there's going to be a transitional phase in our society, and we're going to have to learn how to bridge divides between nations and become a cohesive unit as a collective, and that's no small order. And it starts with individuals, like the inter-revolution, and how we optimize our biotechnological systems from the inside out, so that when we're working with technologies like AI, which is actually quite a magnificent, we are AI in a lot of ways, but it's when our consciousness is calibrated to its most pure and optimal state, then we can really work with those technologies in a way that is beneficial to the whole and promotes flourishing for all. And it doesn't have the, all the things that we would be worried and concerned that it may evoke when the consciousness of the being who is directing or implementing those technologies, has a hold of them. So this, what I love about this is that it does that. It supports the individual with experiencing that inter-revolution, and then taking all of that wisdom and knowledge that is embodied deeply, and then exercising it, putting it into action in the physical world to actually optimize our societies.
Yes. Oh, just want to take a moment to just celebrate this. Because for those that don't know, I'm in Costa Rica. I don't know if I should have started out with that. I've been here for a little bit more than a couple weeks now, and it really has a new dimension and clarity around where ceremony and celebration are the thing, and the sustainability of it as a natural state, instead of, wave kind of not, can't do it for long periods. Like there's no scarcity to it. It's more of a sustainable, in alignment with nature's celebration and ceremony that is the state. And so I just want to take a moment for that. Um, so Universal Imagination Alliance is what we're creating. And I feel it's important to kind of make this distinction because I feel as visionaries, it can be easy to really tangle a lot of the complexities that you're doing without and getting lost in the details. And for me, I wanted to make like this distinction between the vision and the business, because they can be very, like in expression, they can very much become the same thing, and in a sense they are, but it's very important for me to be clear about that, because the vision is not the vision is the vision, and the business is the business. And from that there's a very greater clarity about the movement that this all is, and then the expression of the business within the vision that starts to express itself and spread and grow, expand, and all that good stuff. And so, movement. How do you? Because this just makes it. I posted about this today. It makes the vision smaller. But what is your interpretation of universal imagination? The vision of universal imagination.
Oh man, well, when I just even tune into the energetic of universal imagination, I instantly connect into the field of the supermind. So this is where we transcend, neural firing even in our own brain, and we start to embody and connect into universal mind, quantum mind, supermind, and we start to embody its intelligence and translate it into the physical world, so that everything that we bring through into form. So the business to me would be a translation of the universal imagination itself, the quantum mind. And that way, everything that we are creating is effective, efficient, and sustainable. So that the key is that it is something that is sustainable, exponential, and evolutionary. So it will continue to evolve and expand from that stabilized, sustainable space. And so one thing, so universal imagination, if we're not fully hooked into the supermind and we're not fully connected to our power source, then the consciousness will still have impurities in it. And those impurities will express in the structure or the business or the architecture that we are creating. And so whatever it is that is created from that point will ultimately have to be regenerated. So it will either collapse and find new form, or it will go under a process of deep regeneration. And so we see this reflected in the body. We see it reflected in whole cultures and societies and structures. And I think even on a micro level, people see this in their businesses. When something's no longer working, is why is this no longer working? Because the integrity of the energetic from which it was created has to shift. And so, when I just universal, I just get an image of the quantum mind and all of its qualities and characteristics. And how do we optimize our consciousness to that level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, performatively, so that we imbue that in everything that we create, so that we can actually move forward and not repeat a lot of the cycles that we have seen civilizations repeat in the past, cyclic civilizations, rise and fall and all of this. And as you were saying, not have it be something that's sustainable, but this is our natural state. It's natural for us to embody. This is inherent to us. We all know at our core exactly what this is.
Yeah. And another distinction that came up, and I think it's for me because like I'm learning how to voice this. Is it's really not about defining what universal imagination is. Of course, our business has values, and our business utilizes it in our expression and in the use of passion as our mission. But it really is not about trying to define what it is, but letting people use their imagination to figure out what universal imagination means to them. Now they can read our mission statement, they could read our values and the way that we've you know, delineated like all the things that are important in how we translate universal imagination as infinite possibilities and as unity, oneness, individuality, and all of those things are respected and honored. But again, the business is one expression of that. We're not trying to decide what the vision means or defines or constricts to anything. Yeah. That again, I don't know if anyone's going to get anything from that, but for me to be clear on like what I'm actually talking about and to get rid of the shyness of like feeling like awkward trying to like universal imagination. It's kind of like, you know, and I can make myself so small because I can't. The business is becomes so entwined with like, oh, it's like the vision with that, and I get lost in that. So yeah, I take a second to get that clear.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's interesting because, well, that's an interesting space to dance in, and how we all connect to that energy and how we experience it. Because when you asked me, I had my own unique paradigms pop up for how I experience that energy, and this is hilarious, and I'm just going to be expressive about it. But for me, it's got it has the feeling of Disney minus all the drama, like all of the magical parts of any type of adjacency. It's so pure, it's so celebratory, it's so expressive, so creative, infinite potential, infinite possibilities, infinite creation, and it's so benevolent and loving and fun, and it's everything that we dream possible inside of our unique frame. And we have the capacity to create that in the exact way that we desire to. And I think that's what makes this whole journey so exhilarating and fun, is that, you know, the way that I experience and express that energy is going to be completely different from how anybody else does. And that's also even connecting into my brand just a bit, but Infinity Collective, Actualize Your Genius, was all about it is all about empowering people to connect to their unique genius, their unique gifts, their superhuman capacities and abilities, their soul voice, their heart song, and to just be wildly organically expressed in that, because we need that. You know, it's like nature, it's so exotic. There's so many different dynamic species, and it would be quite boring if it were, you know, if we were just all the same, and if there was just all the same species of plant or food or, you know, whatever the case may be. And that's what makes it so glorious, because it's just unending novelty and unending ways to explore and express and transmit that novelty and experience it through one another.
Delicious. Delicious.
So good.
Disney without the drama.
Without all the dramatic pieces, just the, you know, because when we start to transcend our own inner drama, we start to liberate, oh, like, wait a minute, I could actually just vocalize what I truly want. When there's no attachment or resistance to that being so, magic becomes exponential. Creation becomes exponential. We wake up in the morning, we write down on a piece of paper exactly what we want for that day, and then it lands. And there's no resistance that would cinch off that flow from allowing that. And it's so fun to play with, because then we can even mold. We start to mold our reality uniquely. And the whole thing is so transient. Nothing is solid. Nothing. And the things that seem so fixed and so solid that, you know, you're just piercing through the veil to get to the reality, and it's all super transient.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I have a question. Yes. And if you have any questions, of course, please, it's a conversation. What do you foresee is going to be like, how is the world first gonna start to see UIA, the Universal Alliance? It's like I have never talked about it on Facebook Live yet, so this is really new. But what is the first glimpse of the public eye in a really tangible sense? What do you foresee that is going to be, you know, near term?
Okay, so bold, vibrant, lively, infinite abundance. And so what, the very first thing that I see for us is architecting, which we already have in the creation hue, is architecting master courses and masterminds for large companies and large organizations and even startups. I see people who are doing amazing work in the world, and they just desire support dialing in their embodiment and also dialing in their services and working within those contexts to really support very powerful leaders in the world and in creating these transitions in our systems. And so how do we go in and support people with embodying the quantum self, embodying infinite abundance, embodying infinite flow, and actually calibrating to that so that it is a continual evolutionary unfolding and experience that doesn't have, the highs and the lows. How do we actually integrate paradise in the physical body? And then how do we express that and through whatever it is that we're creating and those whom we serve? So I see us going into those organizations to support those leaders with expanding their impact, with expanding their leadership and their influence in the world, because there's so many brilliant people. I mean, I'm right in the middle of a massive hub right in Austin, and their work needs to be showcased in the world. So it's how do we support you with getting that out there? And we have the tools and technologies, but that's what I'm envisioning, is seeing just amplifying and exponentially accelerating growth and the expression of that growth.
And then, the network starts to grow from there too.
Right. Oh yeah. There's so many, I can see the network. So just as we would see neural pathways in the human mind, where there's these dots, these constellations, which different facets of the brain, neurotransmitters, all of this. And in an organization, it would be each unique individual, but how each one contributes to the whole, how to maximize group flow and creativity, and then also how to, take all of the facets of expression that this energy wants to be transmitted through and bring them into form. And there's so many ways that can be done. And one of the ways that has always felt really inspiring to me is through fashion and graphic artistry, visual medicine, sound medicine, anything that we can do to, amplify the frequency, but also code ourselves and code our realities with these premium source codes, and all the different ways that we can do that, and then express it as a form of inspiration, and then support people with actually creating the laser dialed in structures that they need to bring those frequencies into form, because we have to have both. Ultimately it's an androgynous creation, but I find the structure to be quite exhilarating. I love the structural aspects.
Sean says that you speak so well. Creation is so fun and challenging in the same. The challenge is the entertainment, as Jeremy would say.
Totally.
And I think that's a really good point. I get reminded of like what we're creating. Like it's funny, because I'm mostly in the vision where there is nothing. So it's nice to be reminded about what we're creating every once in a while, or how I'm creating, how I'm doing. So the new business model that we're really going to start to play with here, once we get some foundational elements and some systems in place, is how, and maybe this is a little bit of the Disney fine of it, but it's going to be how we take this mission that UIA is on, and instead of looking at it like a serious competitive mission, but gamifying our mission both internally, but also blurring the lines externally. That the difference between employee and audience and partner and all of that starts to blur, and kind of in new ways, to where people can join our mission in a gamified sense feel that work-play dynamic that we're living, that we're experiencing through our mastery of our crafts, and the way that we're translating that through the business and directing that into creating the organization and the movement, and how other people can feel a part of that massive global vortex in new innovative ways through gamifying, and however that ends up expanding into all those different details that I don't want to necessarily get into right now.
Yeah, because I just want to commend you on how dialed in you actually have it, the structure of it, and it's stunning. And it's so simple too. The vision is the driver. The vision is where all the juice is generated. And so when you're really, you got to have vision. You got to have vision. Got to live in vision. And then it becomes natural and effortless to transmit and translate because you're coded with it. And it gives you the instructions on how to put it into form. So even as we were discussing our first, our packages that we're offering and combining our gifts and our talents to serve these organizations, what do we bring forth, and how easily that filled itself in. Those are hyper advanced master courses to support people with accelerating their work in the world and to have fun doing it. I think one of the things that I've been learning over the past several months in such a profoundly beautiful way, yes, exactly, Alyssa, is having fun, is levity, and just not taking any of it too seriously, and finding the humor and the joy. And that also allows for greater resilience and receptivity and flow and all of this. So adapting our attitudes and our frames and our perspectives in life, and all these tools and technologies that we provide to people to actually anchor into that embodiment and then explore it in their own unique way and do it together as a family, as a team, because we all, not only do we all, well, I don't want to say need, it's an interconnective, reciprocal.
Need is fine in a gamified sense.
What was that?
Need is fine in a gamified sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we need great talent.
Yeah, we do. And it's a part of the interconnective collaboration that we all share. Regardless of how we choose to define or see that, we're family. We're infinite creators, and we're family, and we're doing this together. And so really anchoring that into the field as well, that feeling, that leveling. I love that.
Can I divert our multidimensional conversation into going backwards?
Yes, and then I want to ask you a question too, so remind me, please.
So this came up on my retreat here in Costa Rica. We had a conversation, and it was bubbling up, of course, like sacredness, ceremony. There is a seriousness and a depth to create sacredness and ceremony. True? Are you on that?
I feel like yes, and I think there's also a fine line.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about, yeah.
Right, so there's a fine line where it can become dense and heavy and murky and convoluted, and we don't stay in our full power and our light when we're in those spaces. But when we're in those spaces and we're fully connected to our power source, everything is sacred. And that's sacred. And it's so for me, that is an expression of care. It's just the artistry of care. How do we actually, what does care in action look like from moment to moment to moment? How does that express in the world, and how we take care of our hearts, our minds, our bodies, one another, our environment? And so every single breath and every step is a ceremony. Yeah. And it is absolutely sacred in every way. Yeah. To even really access the fullness of these frequencies, we were initiated into the sacredness of life.
Yeah. I totally vibe with that. I totally agree. And it's interesting because this was bubbling up when all of my everything was coming out, and just the because if you are like approaching the sacred and ceremony from a serious self-conscious place, or the opposite where there is no depth and it's like, you know, just like all fun but like no real groundedness.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that's the fine line that you're talking about, and it's when I really feel the ceremony and celebration and the sustainability of it as a natural state, instead of like, oh, I'm gonna go to this retreat and be in these ceremonies, and that's somehow different from real life, you know?
Yes. Yes. It's the way I experience that energy is elucidation and richness that occurring simultaneously, and then also being connected into the quantum field. So being one, being whole, and feeling our full connection to our power, and just coursing the energy of that toroidal vortex through our field, and just living in the elucidation of that. And it helps us to stay in our center, but we're also living in a very holographic, multidimensional experience as that's happening. And we're relating to everything as a facet of us, and energy starts to look a little bit different. And you start to see the holographic nature of reality itself. All of the solidity starts to gain high definition, and everything just becomes more vibrant and alive. Consciousness itself becomes more vibrant and alive. And that's certainly a practice. I mean, to embody, I call it the super abundant flow master, because it's the field of superabundance itself. Superabundance, because it's abundance is really all it is. And once we start to cleanse all of our coding and our filters, and get to the core of reality and pierce that veil, that's what reveals itself to us. Oh, all that ever has been is superabundance. All that ever has been is love and flourishing and wholeness and well-being and vibrancy and all of this. It's just, maybe I haven't seen it. And that's where the richness comes in for me, because part of the cultivation for me has literally just, when I'm in my meditative spaces or my ceremonial spaces, or I'm doing prayer activation, I just place my hands on my heart and my solar plexus and my sacral, and I feel the richness of my own love. I feel the richness of the love of source that I'm connected to. And I like almost like press it into my body so that I feel it. And then so it's encoded in me. And I've been practicing that for so long, almost 2 decades now, that's there. And I can carry that with me in the moments where I'm, in the playing field, and I'm expressive, and I'm creating, and I'm connecting. And so I can be in that dance from a really elucidated, enriched, centered, clear, grounded, optimized state. And that calibration, we're always bringing bits online. So this is so interesting. So I want to tell a story. I told you about the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
So because this is how I see it, and we're all calibrating in a very similar way, but also in our unique way on our journey. And so I was on my way out to California, and there was there's space open next to me on the plane, the seat in between me and the gentleman sitting by the window. And he was younger. He was maybe in his mid to late 20s, and he had a Rubik's Cube, and he was mixing it up and then completing it, and then mixing it up and completing it. And I'm like, wow, there's a genius sitting next to me on the plane. He's just doing this like it's, it's easy peasy. And he's putting it together. And I recently returned back home to Austin, in just actually a couple of weeks ago. And the very first image that I saw, because I went on a massively accelerated evolutionary growth catalyzing journey, which was profound and beautiful. And it was a magical, mystical initiation in so many ways. And so the first image I saw when I got home was a man holding out his hand, and there was a completed Rubik's Cube levitating over his hand. And so the way that my guides connected those dots for me mystically, they're like, so every time he was mixing up the Rubik's Cube and completing it, it was like an octave of consciousness, a spiral. And we go up this way, so we gain all the lessons, all the wisdom, all the growth, all the insights, revelations, epiphanies that we can in one-dimensional octave, which expresses as a dimension of sacred geometry. So the seed of life, ultimately out into the flower of life, and we synthesize more of our blueprint in each rung of the spiral. So that was every time he was completing the Rubik's Cube. And so the completed one is the full synthesis of our wholeness, the complete balance and harmonization and synergy of all energies, elements, dimensional facets, aspects, and creations of and expressions of energy, creation, and consciousness. And I'm like, wow, I totally went. That is why my soul chose to have that experience, because I was craving the synthesis. And it was funny because months before I had gone, I would go for walks and I would see puzzle pieces on, just like on the sidewalk, or just random, like there's a piece to the puzzle, there's a piece of the puzzle, there's a piece. And so then we synthesize to our wholeness and we start to live in these calibrated states. And when we synthesize to that and we're able to sustain it and maintain it inside of our embodiment, it's just pure expansion, pure creation, and doing that harmonically as a collective unit. And so each of us are calibrating to the remembrance and the synthesized embodiment of our wholeness, and that's in a sovereign way. And as we do that sovereignly, it creates a collective unification. So the way that has been shown to me is sovereign unity. So you embodying the quantum self, me embodying the quantum self, being absolutely laser tuned to the flow of that and embodied and enriched by it and expressive in it. Each of us doing that independently and sovereignly is what creates the unification. Because now we've got mass group flow happening, collective group flow, and then we get to actually get out on the playing field to we're all out on the playing field anyways. That's great to stay out on the playing field, but can you imagine the exponential rate at which we can optimize our planet and our systems and our structures and all of this as the consciousness accelerates?
Yeah, and what I love is it's, of course, the beauty of all of these words. It's very mind blowing. It's very, it feels like so much, but with the way that that we're offering it is efficiency. It's all about direct and doing it in such an artful way that it really is designed to be simple.
Yes.
It's not designed to be complex. But we love complexity, but where the vision, everything that we're after is that simplicity, and that really is what I love about what we're doing, and the way our programs come together, our teaching systems, whatever you want to call it, like that to me has been a value of mine, precision and efficiency, for how I've designed for the business plan, the structure that you apparently see. Credit on that. I'm glad you see it, and that's why we're collaborating. So,
do you see how the simplicity, though, it orchestrates and builds the complexity?
Mm-hmm.
Because if anybody were to open into the mission statement in the manifesto, it's so rich and so complex, but yet it's simple and it's highly efficient. And that is what creates the complexity, is being in that space. It's a natural expression of, precision, high efficiency, high effectiveness. And because of that, because of the embodiment of those qualities.
Yeah, this was for you, by the way.
But no. I think it's for us. Yeah. And that's just a natural byproduct of it, of being in those spaces of pristine flow. And actually efficiency, I love that you say that, because that's one of on my notes. I have what I'm practicing in my embodiment currently in the top of my calendar. So there's just words. And I always have efficiency as the top priority, because it always helps me to dial in instantaneously. So anywhere, where the weeds need to be pulled out of the garden or things need to be cleared, just like, what's efficient? What's here now? What's the next action step? What's the next intuitive direction? And I'm just going to follow through on that. And then living in that flow. That's what creates efficiency for me, is I just live in that intuitive flow, but it's laser dialed in. It's not, just super, it's very clear and directed and precise, but
not rigid.
No, but not no. Okay. Not at all. Completely non-linear and not
Yeah.
rigid.
Non-linear, yeah. And then Sean says, great relation. I need to try Rubik's Cube. I've started at them a few times. There's something there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, and one more. Efficiency is definitely a big one for me, and the same natural flow has seemed most efficient. In the same natural flow has seemed most efficient when achieved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's its flow. I mean, that's why I'm obsessed with flow, because it's everything that we need is contained within the context of flow and the frequency of flow.
Yeah. When the word has meaning.
Yes.
I feel so much liberating. I think, I feel so much liberation around the gamification of my skeptic, because it's allowing me very much a freedom of not feeling so self-conscious about the negative of how I can break down words or break down ideas and like tear things down. And yeah.
It was so funny. So somebody recently said to me, what did they say? Like you use all the flashy, flowery, but you use them accurately. Like I've spent years calibrating my embodiment.
How is that possible?
Yeah, this will work. It's funny. Well, yeah, I mean, so it's fun. I love language. Language is one of my, I have a whole book on language. And how to optimize and calibrate. And so in the learning of that, that's because that's how I unlocked my own magic. I, used the potency of my words, and I saw the profundity with which they were creative. And so I spent many years, and still continue to optimize my language and vocabulary. And I always go to when new words are downloaded to me, or even just combinations of existing words to create a new hybrid word.
This is a hybrid business, that's for sure.
Totally. Yes.
So, what was, you had a question that came up.
Yeah, so how do you feel about just reading the intro to UIA and what it is, so that people can have a clear and definite understanding of?
Thank you for that challenge. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And maybe I could even share my screen while I do it, and people can maybe catch a peek of other things. Let's see, hold on. Share screen, application window. If I do that,
That's fun.
There we go.
Yes.
And keep the outline open. So can we see that? Making sure. Awesome. So we've got our business game plan. Everything, there's a lot of intention in here, for sure. Universal Imagination Alliance, accelerating the evolution of humanity into the Passion Age with imagination technology. And you want me to read the executive summary or the vision mission?
Well, hold on. Let me actually, the recent one that you sent me, do you mind if I, yeah, go for it. This one right here. Yes.
All right. Thank you for the challenge. Universal Imagination Alliance is an impact investment fund and innovation incubator created by evolutionary entrepreneur, disruptor, and former SpaceX technologist Jeremy Lasman. UIA operates via a unique business model that combines the best of business, science, technology, and the arts. It blurs conventional lines between many industries in order to birth an epic new possibility for the planet. Jeremy's invention of imagination technology and the network of UIA will ignite a brand new economy fueled by an abundance of energy instead of a shortage of resources. At the heart of UIA is the spirit of innovation. We believe in the vision of universal imagination, which is a delineation between the frequencies of scarcity and the frequency of abundance. This demarcation between an old paradigm status quo of negativity/conflict and a new paradigm vision of universal imagination is not another separation, but a tearing down of knowledge silos that keep the human brain from reaching its fullest potential. Through a multi-phase operational strategy, including a gamified approach to business, mobile app, marketplace, and cryptocurrency, UIA will create a high-performance engine that will empower both people and projects, as well as generate stellar returns for investors. Since our big picture focus is to accelerate the evolution of humanity into the passion age, we are at the core a philanthropic cause. But this doesn't take away from the fact that we have designed UIA to be highly financially profitable from the start. Our hybrid business model allows for a balance between research and returns as we foster hyper-innovation through experimentation, efficiency, talent development, and cross-pollination. Through our systematic approach, top-level management team, and powerful strategic partners, UIA will lead the charge into a new reality where humanity transcends old limitations and solves the previously unsolvable. Vision. UIA's vision is a new conscious economy of thriving passion that helps humanity bridge the gap between scarcity and abundance. Mission. UIA's mission is to accelerate a massive global economy of passion exchange with imagination technology. Should I read the values?
Oh my gosh, they're so good. Yeah, so let's read the values and then.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Do you want to?
Sure, let me see if I can.
Yeah.
If you can enlarge it just a bit. Awesome. Okay, unity. We believe in an abundant, borderless planet of universal imagination that honors each human being as a vital and interconnected puzzle piece of the whole. Collaboration. We see there is no more evolutionary need for competition, and that will unleash a new level of dynamic upward spiraling collaboration. Connection. Collaboration is an intimate connection of passion that harmonizes differences, sees each other's soul, and drives to create something great. Pure imagination. The imagination wouldn't be anything without the pure stream of energetic intelligence that flows prior to its reception and unique translation by human minds. Pure freedom. Unlocked from the chains of fear and the competitive survival of the fittest mind and open to the vision of universal imagination, one can choose to be freed from the cage of self-consciousness. Pure love. Before any split of self-conscious separation, duality, or paradox, love is undiluted, undivided, and unconditional. Pure passion. Passion is the highly volatile substance that exists closest to the singularity of pure love at the razor's edge between reality and make-believe. Pure peace. Imagining outer space without life, we can observe the true nature of reality as ever-present stillness. Pure joy. In the absence of global suffering caused by scarcity, struggle, and separation, we feel the essence of painlessness to be joy. Individuality. The vision of universal imagination honors the sacredness and empowerment of the individual to be the cornerstone of conscious evolution. Aho.
Aho?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that had some epic vibes to it for sure.
Yeah.
In reading it in the arena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, putting it, yeah. It feels really great to just liberate the vision and the energy of it and to share it and to offer it and give it and to allow people to see and explore what we're up to. And if you guys have any questions about how you can get involved, please feel free to email either of us. I believe Solara at I have it written down.
Yeah, Solara, it's at universalimagination.org.
Okay, that's what I thought. And then same, Jeremy.
Yeah, or DM me.
Yeah, that too. I was thinking too.
Or I guess this will be on YouTube as well. So yeah, we gotta get the emails in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So cool.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for creating space to play and flow and create and share this. This was new for all of us too. You guys, is stuff that we haven't even fully we haven't fully flowed or riffed on in this exact way. So it was really beautiful to be able to share this experience with all of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, very cool. Remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Mm. This is massive. I can hear all of the crickets just lighting up the night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Are you feeling complete, or is there anything else that you want to delve into?
Oh man, I feel we could just keep going. No, that feels complete for today's, and I think it saves some excitement for next one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, I love you so much. So thankful to be sharing this experience and journey with you, and to just be witness to your evolution and expansion and your creative genius and your brilliance and all the ways that it takes form and shape in the world. Just such an honor to be side by side with you. And even because over the journey that we've taken over the past, 6 months together, like how much evolutionary growth has unfolded in so many ways, internally and structurally, in both of our lives and cohesively. It's just beautiful to get the eagle's eye view and look at that and really celebrate all those micro moments of development. And the beautiful, vitally activated creative flow that wishes to transmit and express itself between us is beautiful.
Yeah.
Very thankful for that.
And what feels so special that you bring awareness to that is it feels like, as artists, as an artist, I can say it's like, all right, it's always about like next, like, all right, what am I creating next? What am I creating next? And like, as an artist, I don't need to look back. Like, it's all there. Like, whatever. Like, let's keep going, right? And to slow down and to like, to slow down and look at like what's behind, and to take that beat and to honor and see it is huge. But I feel within this container and within our connection, in the act of doing that, we're also building it as well. Yeah. And it's a really fun coming together of those two things, because even in slowing down and looking back and like seeing the journey and taking a breath and a pause, we're still building it. It's like we're still we're still creating it. There's still progress being made, and it's by us really doing nothing. It's just yeah.
Well, energy is always being generated. I call it treasure hunting, like just finding the golden nuggets and the pearls and the rubies and the treasure, hunting for treasure. We get what we observe. So it's beautiful. And simultaneously it's future generative. So
future generative. Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you. Yeah. Very grateful as well. And I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and all of your wonderful comments and your reactions, your words. We really appreciate that. And if you feel like someone in your network would benefit from the flow of this video, please share it. This one's for me is a new ask of putting that out there, but visibility. If you feel this can help someone, share it out to your network. and let's create this. So yeah, thank you very much, Jeremy Lasman, Solara Rose. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Love you guys.
Love you guys.